care about it when there's discomfort.
When there's discomfort about the validation happening, either it's for your ego or for another's ego.
When there's discomfort happening, then the seeker tries to seek a way out of that. So then it will worry or seek to not validate its own ego, or to work out its ego, or to try and get rid of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
When there's just happiness, there's no urge to try and look at your karma or past or your seeking patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So that requires the dynamic of feeling discomfort to arise.
To have that urge to seek out some kind of resolution.
Yeah,
for
to
it.
your ego. If you see what I mean. So I don't see it like I just don't see it doing it. It just arises and pops up actions. And there's not an internal
So there's no like
feeling responsible for other people's reactions to this. And also my reactions to other people. If there's discomfort here, then I'll try and work out my actions and work out a better way in which to handle life or the ego. So it's only the ego that will worry about somebody else's liberation.
Yeah. And there's no fear about, or no worry at all about how the other person might respond or react to whatever you might say to them.
Yeah.
That's maybe rubbing against them in a certain way.
Yeah. Rubbing against them or not.
Or not.
Yeah. Because you can never work it out how somebody's going to respond to you. You can be really nice, give them loads of money, and then their response the next day might be, "You're trying to manipulate me by giving me lots of money. You're trying to control me." You just never know how the response is going to be.
The Indian beggars are quite nice in that sense. You give them something and then they're satisfied for 2 seconds and then they go, "I want more."
So cute.
You're like, "Man, I just gave you something."
You can never get it right into relationship. The ego, it's always what it is. If somebody's in lots of ego relating to you, then they're going to find problem with anything you do. If they're in a bad mood, then anything you do, even if you give them loads of love, they'll be like, "So you're trying to manipulate me with love now, are you?" Like whatever you do. That's just the way it goes. When the ego's in strong, it hates.
Or sometimes I would just give an answer just to satisfy them because I don't even want to get into that conversation because I feel it'd just be a big waste of energy to get into it. So just to kind of lie, just to be like, all right, I'm not going to waste my energy there.
I know that rises here.
Like, yeah, they're bad people. Yeah, let's get on now.
But it doesn't like that. It's just sometimes lying happens, like here. There's not the energy to want to go into what's happened, or so a lie pops out. Like like my friend, I went for dinner at the Dali house recently, and my friend went and got the rest of the food that that I didn't eat, and told the lady to wrap it because it was for the dogs. And she came back in and she said, "You're not finished your dinner. You're not like." And I was like, "I want to save some from later." And then she laughed and pointed, "You lie. You're going to give it to the dogs." So yeah. So lying still happens.
it's refreshing to see like how some of these very deep beliefs about like morality or what's right and what's wrong, you know, like dissolve in this whole teaching that you're giving. There is no self. So,
Yeah.
you'll have to be taking responsibility for every action.
Yeah. And if you get caught lying, then like me and her, this lady, when she caught me, it was just we both hysterically laughed. It was like, this is what happened. Whereas the ego would then feel embarrassed, try and make up for it, try and apologize. This is what we are. Just what we are in every moment.
Lisa, can I sing a song? I write a song about the search. I want
Yeah?
to,
Yeah, go for it.
I want to write. Let's see.
Great.
Oh, wow.
Can I film you guys?
Sometimes when I'm doing that, I'm falling in pieces because I get too much excited. But I will just try. So actually, it's like I took another song. It's like a rainbow song, and I changed the lyrics. So if you feel familiar with this song, but still
Such a cute guitar. I'm sure it's not called a
the
guitar.
smallest one you can get.
The ukulele?
Ukulele, yeah. So let's see. Voila.
Very cool.
I wanna be free, so free, like a flower and a bee, like a bird in a tree, like a dolphin in the sea. I wanna fly high, so high, like an eagle in the sky. And now my time has come to disappear into the one. Mama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. Mama, I'm coming home to the peace deep in my soul. And here I'm free, so free, to be the being that I see. Not to rise and not to fall, being one and loving all. There's no high, no low, there's nowhere else to go. I just fall inside my heart, and I see this love in all. But Mama, I'm coming home. Awareness is the source so far. But Mama, I'm coming home. I am in peace, and all is one. And so I'm free, so free, and in peace with all I see. No more searching, guilt or shame. Life is such a holy game. There's no right, no wrong, there's nothing to cling on. I realize there's no one here, and all stories disappear. But Mama, I'm coming home. There is no me, and all is one. But Mama, I'm coming home. There is nobody, and life goes on. Life goes on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I'm not there all the time. At least I have an idea of it.
Thank you. It was great.
It's more than likely though this is going to end up on the internet now.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine.
Beautiful.
If you feel like doing that.
Absolute freedom, no me. It really is. That energy and that thought, I am this body mind mechanism and I'm doing. There's nobody. And when there's nobody, you are everything. There's no separation. Absolute intimacy. Beautiful. I enjoyed that. No separation. Requires an energy and a thought. I am this body-mind mechanism for there to be separation. Because who we are is the watching, is consciousness, is awareness. Not somebody being aware, just empty awareness, empty perception or empty knowing, and not intellectual knowing, just knowing.
Sometimes I have the feeling that all these thoughts are basically contraction and resisting life. And but still, sometimes I can't help myself. I cannot stop it.
Nobody cares.
You couldn't stop it.
It's like I hate it. I don't want it like that. Why it's not different? Fuck you all, whatever. But and at the same time, I'm starting not to be so serious about it while this is happening. But still,
What's up?
what?
And when it's not there, it's not there. Many times, and there's just walking, just laughing. Laughing's a great one. It's hard to be someone there when you're taken by laughter. Just crying even. Just absolute intimacy with crying. Riding on the bike. So many times and there's nobody there, then the ego comes back in and claims it all afterwards.
So all we're looking for is the end of us.
We really are, it's crazy. But we think the end of us is in objects. We don't even know it's the end of us. We think that getting objects gives us something, but what happens in getting objects is the seeking falls away. And that's what you're truly looking for, is the end of seeking. Because the end of seeking is absolute intimacy with everything. There's no separation. Seeking sometimes, I can understand if you just hear seeking. You maybe have an idea about what I mean by seeking, but I mean the small self. But I try to separate it by saying seeking, because I don't mean the end of all thoughts. There's still a thought, oh, this is an apple, this is an orange. That's not ego. There's still a thought that pops up, oh, I'm going to go to Chennai later, I'm going to go book a ticket. That's not separation, that's just thoughts and energies and something happening. The thought is the claimer, the seeker. That's the, did I say that right? The separation is the claimer, one that thinks it's doing. One that thinks that it's a separate self doing life. It doesn't mean the end of all thoughts, like you walk around with a lobotomy. Thoughts still arise, but there's no one they're arising for anymore. They're arising in empty space, and they're seen just as a mechanism of how this robot works. Thought appears an energy to go and have chai, but it's not you. It's just arising in this. It's just exactly the same working as the birds flying through the sky, or the tree blowing in the wind.
that true that nothing, absolutely nothing, we can decide, or our body can decide in our decisions we make? What do I eat now? Or where do I go now? Or do I go now or 5 minutes later? Those decisions, even bigger decisions, none of that I really decide. It's all
They come.
just out of happiness and goddess.
They arise in absolute empty space. If you follow back any thought, any choice, it doesn't come from a little you inside. It comes from nothingness. There's no one in there. Any choices, it's not you making them. It appears that you're making them. Even here, there's a choice: shall I pick orange juice or apple juice? And another thought comes up and says orange juice. Here, there's no longer the energetic belief that that's me. That's just the mechanism of this. It's just the way the character's played out. They're all arising in empty space, and it appears that there's free will, it appears that there's choice, but it's not you. It never was you. You never made a wrong decision. There's nobody there making the decisions.
Something arising.
No, it's really weird. It's really weird. It doesn't make sense to the mind. But if you examine where these thoughts are coming from, or if there's an examination that happens to see where everything's coming from, you see it's absolute emptiness. And there's no back, no end. There's absolutely nothing there. That every form is empty. And it makes no sense to this little tiny mind. But this is what the seeking has been trying to cover up the whole time. By continuous mental activity, it covers up the emptiness. It gives an impression of somebody or something being there. And it fears seeing this.
So the illusion of choice continues.
It's no longer an illusion anymore as such. So choice still continues, but there's no longer an energetic pull into believing that's who you are. But it's naturally happening. It's not that a choice arises and I go, I'm not choosing, I'm not choosing, I'm not choosing.
No,
There's no one here
no,
to
of
choose.
course. But for a personality that is, for example, doubtful, some personalities are very rigid, others are very doubtful in front of choice.
Yeah.
When the whole mechanism of the personality, the seeker,
Yeah,
all of this is seen, it doesn't mean that the doubtful personality will still not be apparently doubtful between two options.
It's not, I would say that doubt falls away, but contemplation of options still happen. It's not doubt anymore. Because doubt comes with anxiety. Doubt is,
Yes.
I could possibly mess this up and not get
Or
the
make a
most
better
amount of
choice, yes.
pleasure. But contemplation still happens.
And for the one who has, because they're in front of choice, they can be either avoiding the pain of a bad choice or going for the max pleasure. That, when a personality, for example, like mine, wants always like imagine the best thing, the best whatever, and that comes from conditioning. That doesn't seem to go. There's still some, but there's less.
Sorry, what does it seem to go?
The wanting of something. I don't know, like a better choice, or to, like a how can I say that?
Preference.
Yeah, preference. Going for what might be the best chocolate, the best this, the best that.
Yeah, sure. I go into the shop and there's a contemplation between the almond croissant, the chocolate croissant,
Okay.
and the what's the other one they have there? Just a plain croissant, the shanty.
Yeah. And then the conditioning comes up, like.
And then yesterday we got the chocolate croissant. It wasn't so good.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's okay. In the outcome goes, it's okay. But the personality and its preferences doesn't go.
No, the personality and the preferences don't go. The character just doesn't. You don't walk around with a lobotomy.
Exactly,
The character
okay.
still plays on, but there's no longer the doership, the belief that somebody's doing the character.
Yes,
the character's just appearing in the same manner that pole or the others are appearing
Yes.
from emptiness. And it's no more you than anything else.
it seems that one of the biggest trick is to make the person better. Actually,
Yeah.
that's
Make
the
the person better. So much of this is about making the person better. And then so when people hang out with me, they're like, God, she's certainly not a perfect person. For some people that's a relief, and then some people it's terrible because they want to keep the image that this is about becoming a perfect person.
it's about keeping the seeking energy and yeah. That's very cool. Actually.
And it's funny because what happens, I will come to you in a second, what often happens is there's a disillusionment with the guru. So there's this high putting up of guru, and I see it with other teachers as well, there's a high putting up the guru. And then they want to spend more and more time with the guru, and then they spend more and more time with the guru, and they're like, oh, he's annoying. He does this, he does that, he shouldn't be doing this, and then the mind starts in judging about the personality of the guru or the teacher, and then gets disappointed. But it's actually, this has to happen because as long as you're holding the guru or the teacher up higher than you, there's still a self and other. So often the disappointment is the breaking of the higher, lower. So if you can't hold the teacher up there, then who else can you hold up there? There's not many other options to put someone else up there.
And the problem you see in the other, in the guru, for example, or in
There's
the
only
other,
problems with yourself.
it's the problem in yourself always. That's a helpful thought.
Well,
It is.
helpful.
It is.
We don't know how life plays.
That understanding seems to be. I know the term helpful is terrible.
Sorry?
The term helpful is terrible because
We don't know how life's playing this. It might be that you go to the mental institute tomorrow, we don't know.
Yeah.
And that might be the best thing ever.
Exactly. So it might be useful.
We don't know. Huh?
It might be useful then.
But you wouldn't stop to love when you see that he's imperfect, that he's annoying and all, he's got bad habits. You would not stop.
To love the guru. There might be moments of hate arising in that dynamic, but we don't know how it could possibly, how the mind will play out. It might be that maybe this person's not enlightened and moving away from that teacher. We don't know.
If you just chose myself, and it's about accepting my own imperfections then.
Yeah, and if that was seen, then yeah, we wouldn't stop loving the guru, because you'd see that it's just your projections. And when there's no projections happening there, then everybody's just as they are. When it's seen that there's absolutely emptiness there, you don't project onto the other, they're just as they are. That doesn't mean that anger can't still happen with the other person. So like, so say if I was stealing your chips, you were looking the other way and I was like you might turn, don't eat my chips, but it's then that's it. Then you steal the food off my plate or something. It could be completely childish. I'm having this now. Completely immature. But then that's just as it is. There's no longer the he shouldn't have done that. What sort of guru is he? It's just, or she. It's just as it is. It's the end of that one that's just like yucky, yucky, yucky. And when there's just emptiness there, that's how everybody else is seen. It's just doing their little dance. But it doesn't mean that, because often the mind interprets that as complete passive. Oh yes, let anyone do anything. And it's not that. Seeing that everything you see in another is just what you're seeing in yourself. It's like, what are the great? Well, I can't say it's the greatest freedom, but it's just the end of so much bullshit.
So it's helpful.
Somebody's trying to make sense again.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I am. We seem to come for the end of suffering. Seeing that everything that I see outside
requires a separate self who has an idea in the future of how they want to be.
And how about the end of suffering?
And that's still an idea of how you want to be.
Mm-hmm. I don't
So
know about
holding
how I
up
want to be.
helpful is unhelpful.
Unhelpful. Why unhelpful?
If it's seen wanting helpfulness, it's to get something from this.
Yeah.
A seeker to get something from this. We don't know. But when it's seen that everything that you're seeing in another is the way that you're seeing yourself, then it could still be that the energy goes to attack the other, but it's unlikely that the energy is going to keep going to attack the other. But we don't know.
And that's not better or worse,
No.
to keep on attacking the other.
Because if that's what's meant to be, that's what life's writing to.
Okay.
It's better or worse for the seeker though. He doesn't want to suffer.
Yeah.
What about some kind of karma, what we produce in this happening right now, what we live? For example, when I really pollute the ground, and when I really pollute my own body, this ground, with a lot of, maybe also consciously, a lot of kind of dirty food or something, and if I hurt somebody consciously by maybe saying some words or using those things, they also can happen, and it will come back, won't it?
Karma only exists in the story. So if it's not really it's not to do with liberation. Like it just exists in the story. From this perspective, other people might have elaborate ideas about karma, but this is just the easiest explanation of karma. If this body-mind mechanism goes out and robs somebody now, the karma might be, there's a good chance that then this body-mind mechanism will get put in prison, get caught and put in prison. Get caught and put in prison. If you put burger and chips into your body three times a day for the next year, it's more than likely that the body will be very unhealthy and that you'll weigh maybe 20 stone or 15 stone, it become very big. This is what I call karma, but there's no one there doing it. It's not wrong or right. I think that the Buddhists, or even in Advaita, they would say that karma is like from past lives, or it will help you get to enlightenment. I don't perceive any of that. It's just natural cause and effect of this body. If there's an addiction to sugar, then maybe the teeth will rot. If there's a very well organized working mind, then and it's very intellectual, then maybe there will be a job working with the intellect. If the mind doesn't work very well, then maybe there's a job working with the body or being creative or something. It's just cause and effect. That's all I see it as.
So I can be, it's not I who's doing it,
Yeah.
but the consequences are there.
Consequences are there, but it's not that if you pollute the world, then you're going to get punished by the universe. But it's more than likely that if you're polluting the environment around you, the immediate environment around you, then you're more than likely being unhealthy anyway with the body, and so the body suffers. But it doesn't mean that like an enlightened person can be a polluter, because it's just the body that's being polluted.
Did I understand that right? The universe is not punishing, so we are all mirrors, and if I do that,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's just painful being fat. It's not
Yeah.
unenlightened being fat. Like if you ate burgers non-stop for the next year, it's just the body's fat. An enlightened person or somebody who doesn't suffer anymore could be fat and not suffering anymore. It's just the way it is. It's just cause and effect. The universe isn't punishing you for polluting the world. However, if you pollute the field next to you, then it's more than likely there's going to be more bugs, worse smell, animals going in there.
If you're eating burgers and you get physically more baggage, you get
psychologically more baggage,
Mhm.
emotionally more baggage?
No,
No?
no, I'm not a healthy eater. Well, I'm not an unhealthy eater either, but I'm not particularly. I like English breakfast tea and
But this,
I know,
this
yeah.
hypothetical person who's eaten burgers for a year,
it's more than likely that if that happens, that there's lots of eating of burgers, but not necessarily. So there's going to be an addiction of psychological suffering for that to happen.
and you link this idea of karma into that?
Like conditioning, you mean, or?
It sounds like you're saying karma's just physical. Burgers.
Okay, so psychological. So psychologically, there could be karma. So if psychologically you're growing up with very psychologically disturbed parents, it might be then that the mentality carries on. But it's just logical. It's never because of the parents or because of the child. It's just that this world appears in apparent cause and effect. And if the parents have taught the child very abusive psychological patterns, then maybe that will be what's carried on. Because this world works in cause and effect and logically. But it doesn't always have to be the way of it. Like it doesn't always work in that way. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I don't really know what the question was.
It's amazing how the math just speaks.
So this apparent cause and effect, you can't take this apparent experience of a being right up to the edge of a precipice, where the threshold of the precipice is no being,
Precipice means barrier or line?
No.
or on the other side of it is the nothingness.
Yeah. No. It can appear that way, but there's never ever a separate self doing it. It might appear that an individual is doing that, but never because the individual did that. So it might appear that somebody's taking themselves to the precipice. How do you say it? Precipice? But it was never ever them doing it. But it might be that somebody's in hell and pop, it all falls away too. It's never anybody doing anything. And intellectual understanding is one of the biggest things. The mind thinks it has to intellectually understand this really well. And it's so not true. This is just another concept of the mind that it has to understand it. It's the end of the one that thinks it understands. It's the end of conceptualizing life. Constantly trying to work it out.
I mean, we've been bouncing these ideas back and forth. And we reached a point last night with like having brain feeds. It's like, okay, intellectually we took it as far as we can, I think, and yet there's no experience tripping from
yeah.
it. You know?
Because the dog or the baby doesn't need to understand intellectually beingness. It just is. And it's going back. Although in the human, what happens is there is a knowing of the beingness, where the baby doesn't know that. It just is that. But it doesn't need to be intellectually understood to be beingness, to just be at all. Or the dog. It just is. However, for most of us, it appears to come in intellectual concepts. But this is a process of losing all intellectual concepts, not gaining them. I don't live in these concepts. There's just being. There's not the thought, no doer. There is oneness and consciousness. There's just those thoughts of separation have fallen away. And there's just an intimacy experience. The difference between me and the dog and the baby, or this and the dog and the baby, is there's a knowing of being. There's a knowing of who you are as consciousness. That's the only difference between me and a dog, I think, but I can definitely say me and a baby. There's a knowing that who you are is consciousness. Whereas in the baby it's just being consciousness.
And this conversation is taking place between you and us right now.
Yeah.
There's no sense of your words trying to instigate an experience on this side of the fence, the apparent this side of the fence.
No. They're just being spoken.
What was the question? So we don't hear.
Am I trying to get them to have an experience?
So is there any sense of a cause and an effect in this conversation?
A reason.
A reason. It really appears like that though when you're watching through doership. It really appears that Lisa is trying to do something. She's excitable and sorry, I sometimes talk in third person. It's not. I sometimes appear excitable and enthusiastic, and there's this face going on.
And I'm on this side, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you,
Yeah.
Go, yeah, what's next? You know? But like, is that nothing?
This is the worst part.
I know. Because it really appears when you're watching in doership that the other person's doing.
But it doesn't feel like I'm particularly doing, my reaction isn't particularly, it just feels enthusiastic, it feels like...
Yeah. And that's all it is in that moment. And then the thought comes up, I'm listening to her and I'm enthusiastic. So all there is in that moment when there's enthusiasm is enthusiasm. There's nothing else. And then there's not even the thought, I am this body and I'm separate from Lisa. There's just enthusiasm happening. There's just relating happening, no relationship. Then after the thought comes up and goes, she's trying to teach me something, something's happening here. That's the bit that dies.
There's a what next?
Yeah.
There's a next.
Yeah.
The
It's
reason.
going to be
Second thought.
isn't it?
But there's a moment in that conversation where there's just relating happening. And there's nobody there and nobody here. And then the doer comes back in afterwards and says, what next? What's this going to give me? Lisa's going to give me something. Before there was no Lisa, there was just relating.
This experience seems to be like going from that just here into popping forward, looking at it, popping backwards,
Yeah.
but keep coming in and out of it.
Because the seeker, actually what's happening to all of you is it's not, this is the seeker on my hand by the way. I sometimes do this to get to tell people what I'm doing. This is the seeking energy. It's actually continuously for everyone going like this. In awakening, there's a realization that the energy is continuously going like this. And then in liberation, this is how I define it. It's just the end of that. Sometimes the seeking is just like this. So
Yeah, I think within the story that also happens a lot in alternative therapies. That, I mean, apparently a person tries to fix something, let's say, and then, well, if the therapy is a good one, to my standards, which is a joke, but then obviously, actually people have to go through certain emotions usually, and then, for example, anger, and it comes up and it's very, very strong, and people are maybe very afraid, but somehow they trust you, so they go with you through it.
yeah.
And then I'd be going like this and crying and laughing and crying, and in the end there's a sudden recognition of not being anything they believe to be,
Yeah.
and then it kicks back in. I mean, like the I and all the stuff comes back, but apparently in the story, therapy work sometimes also is like here in satsang, seems to be like a door. It gets open very quick, and you could say everything is perfect, and then
Back it comes.
yeah, and then it's like, as you said, like enthusiasm was just there, and nobody would actually do something, and there's no trying to do or whatever, and it's so pure and pristine. And then, I mean, yeah, the whole thing collapses and duality kicks in again, and yeah, I mean, yeah, or yeah.
Well, that's a wrap. It's dinner time, lunchtime.